as we entered the afternoon and the evening, and the Nico Iamaleava story has really blown up, I want to take stock of what we have learned and what we can gain, if anything, from this particular dilemma that is ahead of Nico and the University of Tennessee. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for being here. We talk college football year round, so if that is something that you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and let me know. Would you let Nico Iamaleava walk going into the summer of the 2025 season? A lot of talk around this, and none of it has been in favor of Nico Iamaleava getting what he thinks he is owed and deserves. We got this after there was a smoke earlier in the week, even last week, that Nico Iamaleava and his camp were unhappy with the current deal that they had signed, which is paying him $2 million a year dating back to 2022. At the time, the lucrative deal for anybody benefiting from name, image, and likeness, and that number has since gone up for many. And what has really upset the board is Darren Mensah securing $8 million for 2 years at Duke after putting up pretty good numbers at Tulane. Okay, there's a couple of reasons as to why this could happen and why they did this. At Duke, they did not want to watch another quarterback leave after 1 year. They want to know what they got going into a couple of years, and I understand that. So they're willing to overpay for the security of having a starter that you can depend on to help you compete in the ACC. And let's not be coy about that. Duke was good last year. They would like to continue to be good, and they are like to level up. I think they, along with Syracuse, feel like the next rung, right? Right there just past Georgia Tech and maybe challenging a Clemson, kind of like SMU did last year. Back to Tennessee. We know that Nico Iamaleava just led the Volunteers to the college football playoff for the first time. Had it been a 14 field, they don't make it. Had it been a 16 field, they don't make it. As it is, Tennessee was feeling some kind of way about itself coming out of the SEC, went to the shoe and got absolutely destroyed by the Ohio State Buckeyes. So much so that Joel and Gus were making jokes about how Tennessee got blown out at the Holiday Bowl, which Syracuse, Washington State. Okay. Heading into this period, though, the camp that is Nico's said, hey, there's nothing here. There's no smoke here. Nobody's unhappy. Don't know where this came from. And CBS went and ran with that and had a lot of people reporting on it. And it was right that day. But come Friday morning, when there's supposed to be one more practice before the spring game, we get news that Nico Iamaleava has no-showed, what we know of in the NFL as holding out. You are not showing up to practice until such time as you get the money that you think you are owed. So now we have our first game of chicken at the $1 million level for a player, a NIL collective, and the university itself, as the University of Tennessee has been trying to be very forward on how it thinks about college football going into 2025 and beyond. Remember, they put a tax on season ticket holders, about 15%, so they could pay NIL. They were up in arms when Nebraska decided to pay them off not to play that game next year. They have been trying to come up with ways to make themselves as competitive as anybody that wants to compete for national championships. And this is one of the things that I expected to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen at a place like Tennessee, where it felt like Nico Iamaleava had done enough to warrant the $2 million that he was getting paid. I didn't think he was doing more than that. As a matter of fact, back in January, it's one of the questions that I put before all of us, and I need to answer for myself. Is he worth it? Is he one of the 10 best college football quarterbacks playing today? You can make an argument that he's right there on the edge. And does the edge deserve $4 million a year? If you're Tennessee, no. You are going to let this go on principle, right? Because you do not want to be bullied into a better deal. But now it's getting into a much darker place around team chemistry. Because a great anecdote to come out of this, just doing a little bit of asking around, how do players feel about it? Like Boo Carter did this and nobody really said anything, right? It's outstanding safety for Tennessee. But I think it's the way in which Nico has done this as the quarterback of the team that has really gotten under the skin of many of the players, especially as you're going into this period where you know the portal's about to open up and you want to know what you have and you're looking to fill needs only down the line. Like you're not looking to go get a starter today. You're looking for, if somebody gets hurt, who are we going to rely on? If you don't have that guy already on the roster, you got to go get him. And as we're cutting down to 105 players, come scholarship or not, you need to be sure. And behind him is Jake Maringer. And I don't know that that's the gamble you want to make. And I think that's why Nico and his camp have been so keen on this. You're really going to go into 2025 without me, and you're going to go into 2025 looking for a starting quarterback, or are you willing to take the hit and bet on Joey Hazel and my guy Josh to try to figure it out? I mean, Heupel's in an impossible position right now, right? Because you thought you had done everything that you should to make this person happy. And as the economy has changed, and as we continue to play chicken with tariffs, all this is coming down, right? Like, if you've seen the price of oil, nobody likes it when a barrel of oil, right, is below $60. You want it between 60 and 90. You want it about $70, $75. Everybody's happy. Everybody makes money. The people don't feel squeezed at the pumps. It works. It's one of the reasons that we watch gas prices so well. Plus, I'm from Oklahoma, so the oil and gas industry is what we do. And the oil and gas industry has fueled college football since we started, drilling for it. Before that was cotton. It's an SEC Southeastern sport. I mean, it is not lost on me that I am the blackest black man talking about college football right here, right? And every now and again, I have to remind folks, you don't want it with me. I'm from Hattiesburg. That's Knoxville. Hattiesburg, Knoxville got a lot in common, but what I can tell you is the Knoxville folks much more likely to hit up the Appalachia, right, to go get the people that they need, and also remind you that, hey, Hickory from here, okay, Andrew Johnson from here. We don't mind getting nasty, and we don't mind telling you what we think about you. We will run Lane Kiffin out of here on a rail if that's what it takes to get what we want and where we think is going. I mean, Phil Fulmer got in front of everybody and said the Vols are back, and sooner rather than later, we'll be taking a bite at everybody we play's ass. And that was in relation to Jeremy Pruitt being the head coach. Okay, since then, you've gone through Jeremy Pruitt. You paid him, or didn't pay him. You fired him to go away. He's suing you. You got Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel's got you on the good foot. Danny White's got you going in the right direction. You thought you had the quarterback of the next 3 years, and it doesn't seem that way. So now, are you going to play the $4 million? I think this has to get resolved, and it has to get resolved this weekend before the portal opens up, because then I would be curious to find out who is willing to back up a truck to go get Nico. And I think there are more suitors than you might think for him. However, if you leave a mess at Tennessee, that's going to follow you to wherever it is you want to go. There has been lots of scuttle about going back to California, right, to play for whomever and wherever, right? There's only one school in California it feels like he could fit in. That's USC, but, that's getting the cart before the horse. Need to find out if this is done or not. And the other part is greed here. None of us do well with greed. None of us do well with looking at a 20-something-year-old kid to many, adult to me, who makes $2 million a year moaning, complaining that he should get paid twice as much. That ain't going to fit. That ain't going to sit. There's so many people in this particular arena that already got a problem with players getting paid. And when the money went from a couple $100 to a couple grand to 6 and 7 figures, people are really in their feelings, especially right now as everybody's feeling the pinch. Everybody feels inflation kicking their ass. That's just how it goes right now. It is an unenviable time. I'm proud of saying that millennials, we've been through it too. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be our fourth financial crisis. It's going to be our second financial crisis, our fourth recession. We lived through a plague. We lived in a housing crisis, and many of us are never going to be able to afford homes if we didn't get them right now. It's getting difficult to move out here, and if you have not taken care of your retirement, you need to, and if you're drawing from your pension right now, you are absolutely flipping stuff. Social Security might not even exist by the time I get there, and you got Nico Iamaleava arguing for more money. Yeah, because it's going to get harder to live, but on the other hand, he's living better than a lot of people, and that is where this discussion goes. More often than not, you're going to see people on the side of ownership rather than labor. And I say this with all the good intentions I have. Too many of y'all think y'all going to be billionaires. Too many of y'all ain't saving your money. Too many of y'all are worried about what they're making in the NFL, what they're making in college football, as opposed to, did you go to work today? And when you went to work today, were you valued? How were you valued? And if you don't like where you're working, do something about it, which is what I think Nico is trying to drive at. But the message is all gone because it's all been behind closed doors, and there's been no real public acknowledgement about this except between reporters that are ferrying the news from either side's camp. We won't know how this actually goes for some time, but for now, Nico Iamaleava better understand this is not the climate to be holding out in as we're approaching the House versus NCAA settlement and everybody's trying to get the last little bit of red cent they can before the clamps are put down on just how much you can spend. But dog, you made $2 million last year. You made $2 million the year before that. Hey dog, what did you do with that other money and why do you need the 4? Because if you're just keeping score, let the scoreboard do that. Don't do that right now. Spring football when it doesn't matter.